Thank you. First of all, is to understand that the present administration is a continuation of the Buhari regime. During the period of his campaign, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu gave an assurance that he was going to continue the policies of his predecessor in office. And so essentially, I believe that this is still the same regime, the same political party, the same manifesto, the same agenda. And so I do not really think that Nigerians should expect anything different from this particular government from the previous regime. But having said that, the government was inaugurated in May 2023, and we're now in March. It's almost a year. You remember the president said he was well prepared for this job, and he didn't require anybody to pity him that he was well ready for the job. So I think it's enough time to really assess the government. And you start that assessment from infrastructure, for instance, and the most basic of which is power supply. We had more grid collapses in these few months that the president has been in power. If you travel always in blackouts. And so you see the challenge that our nation is facing. Companies are closing down. I made a request for an order for chairs to be supplied to my office recently from a company in Lagos. In less than 2 weeks thereafter, I got a message from one of them asking for assistance for employment. And I asked what happened. He said their factory is closed down. They get orders today. By the time the customers pay, by the time they produce, the price it has changed. And it's difficult for them to survive. So they close down. And that's the story of most manufacturing entities in Nigeria. So I believe that infrastructure-wise, power is basic to the existence of any economy. The amount of money we spend in generating power in our offices, in the schools, in the banks, in the factories, in churches, in mosques, even in government house, it's mind-boggling. And unless we resolve the issue of power supply, I mean, it's just like singing some kind of lullaby for people to dull their senses. And this has been done in other states. Recently, we saw the commissioning of the independent power plant, which is now powering almost the whole state. So it is possible, really, to have power supply in Nigeria, except for a government, of course, that doesn't have the capacity or willpower to do that. They talk about road network. Both traveling on the road is difficult because the roads are bad. Talk about aviation. The cost is prohibitive. You can't even travel, So when you talk about infrastructure, this government has not done anything, in fairness. And then,
well, senior advocate, if you're still there, it appears that okay.
Look at him.
Continue, sir. Continue.
Yes. So I talk about security. Because the primary purpose of government is to protect security of people's lives and property. Look at Plateau State. Look at Kaduna State. Virtually in every part of this country, it's difficult to move around. There's fear. There's so much threat to people's life and security. So in terms of that, the government is not doing anything, or at least has not been able to do more than the previous government. And so once there is no security, then of course you can't talk about economy. You can't talk about investment. People are leaving their farms. The crisis between the herdsmen and farmers is not being resolved. People are not being prosecuted. People are not being arrested. So it's still the same old story as existed in the past regime. Then you talk about education. Virtually everybody is in private school. The public schools have more or less collapsed. The infrastructure is not changing. The salary of lecturers are not being reviewed. So there's no motivation. That's why everybody is existing. And the same thing with the hospitals. The doctors are leaving in droves, because indeed the issues addressing their welfare and survival are not being tackled correctly. So if you assess this particular government, you will see that, it's a continuation of the crisis we had with the past 8 years of the Buhari regime. And on top of it, everybody is asking, are we in the Federal Republic of Southwest? The AFCC chairman is from Southwest. The CBN governor is from Southwest. Immigration, Southwest. FIRS, Southwest. Everybody occupy any position in this country is a Yoruba man. I mean, if it was done in the past regime and we all hit against it, this should be the occasion to correct that. We're not in the republic of, if the president is from the Southwest, but I don't think that's a reason why we should concentrate all appointments within that particular region. And this is why there's a constant agitation from other regions, because it's only when your man is in power that you are likely to have an assurance of any reasonable appointment. So I think this particular government should correct that to ensure that Section 40 of the Constitution, talking about federal character, is properly reflected. And when we're making appointments, we should look for capable people from other parts of the country. I mean, Yoruba, yes, but I don't think it is proper that we give the impression that once your person is in power, then virtually every appointment should go to that particular region. We should spread it around so that we can reduce the agitation